Karena Bell is the visionary founder and CEO of ProfitLens, a profit optimization and growth strategy consultancy. With over 25 years of experience advising Fortune 500 C-suite executives, she has mastered the art of maximizing profits and accelerating revenue growth. Her firm's approach has led to clients seeing an average of 30% increase in profitability. Karena's credo recognizes that the blessings in her life are meant to benefit others. Let's see what makes Karena so buzzworthy. Karena, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Michael. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. Today is a marathon of interviews today, both getting interviewed and giving interviews and all that good stuff. So it's a lot of time on my feet. In my studio, I like to stand when I'm interviewing. It's just one of those preferences. Of course, at the end of the day, that my feet are nice and sore. So it is that blessed curse, right? Where are you calling in from?
Oh, Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, you're just south of me. I'm in just outside of Richmond, Virginia. So
Oh,
you
nice.
have a I said it wrong. It's an optimization consultancy, right? So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about what that actually means, because I don't think that a lot of people understand business optimization, really.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. It's specifically profit optimization, which can mean a lot of things. It can be a very broad application with significant impact. And part of the optimization could be operational or production or uh, HR, risk management, anywhere in the organization that optimization could be implemented will
Hmm.
translate into a cash flow increase, typically.
Mhm. And so what are the symptoms? I mean, you don't hear
Mm.
profitable or profit optimization consults or profit optimization firms. Like,
Mhm.
I've been around a lot of companies, and profit optimization is not one that you hear a lot of. So what got you into this space to begin with?
Oh, great question. To explain that, I'll take you back a few decades to where I started. I actually started working for Fortune 500 companies in advising C-suite executives. We were both of our tongues are tied today. Uh, in process system, financial optimization, and technology optimization
Mm,
across large enterprise organizations. And oftentimes we were given an edict and an objective where we would look at something from end to end, top to bottom, and
mm,
identify all of the opportunities. Well, a lot of times we were taking those very top opportunities and leaving other opportunities on the table that could translate into tens of millions of dollars in certain
mm,
circumstances. So that was always a frustration for me because, when we go out, when we have a mission and we have an objective, to complete that mission, is to check all the boxes. And so we were always
mm,
leaving boxes in our wake that just didn't sit well with me. So after 30 years in a corporate environment, I actually moved into entrepreneurship and business ownership. And that's when I discovered I started and ran a couple different businesses that were wildly different. In fact, when I left corporate, I said, I never want to do this again. And what I realized was, one, I needed a break. I needed to hit the reset button. And
mm,
two, I was able to go out and start and run some different businesses, but also learn how to run a business. And then,
mm.
identifying what you don't want is just as important of what you do want.
Very
So
good.
what I
Yes.
realized was it's not that I never wanted to do it again. I wanted to do it differently, with
Mm,
more aligned with what is the best interest of the leader, of the business owner that I'm working with. And I talk about where we left opportunity on the table. Sometimes you have to. but there are also opportunities when the upside is so significant and you still walk away from it. You um, are just frustrated by the directive, and
Mm,
then we're not able to actually complete the operation. And when I partner with clients now, we're in lockstep where we're talking about the strategy. It's very clear. We know what the priorities are, or we're talking about the strategy and we have a number of challenges in front of us. We can align those priorities with the strategy and what that leader's being, more importantly, what that leader's being measured on as well.
mm,
One thing that I found working with a lot of leaders is, especially at the C suite level, oftentimes they're brought in for strategic objectives. And
mm.
many times they're pulled into the operational mire out of self preservation. And then what is a typical tenure of a C suite executive? 18 months, 24 months, it's
Really?
sometimes it's not long. It's not
Wow.
long. And the reason for some of that, not all of it, the reason for some of that is they did not meet their strategic objectives because they were mired in keeping they were doing the right thing. They weren't
Mm,
doing the thing they were measured on. They were trying to
mm,
keep the business going. They were trying to put out the fires and
mm,
get back up to that strategic place where they might be pinging in that place, but they were hired to play in that place. And I
mm,
see that time and time again, whether it's a small business or even a large enterprise, that's one of the challenges, one of the many challenges they face. And I'm able to help be that person, that peer that we can bounce things off of each other, remind and hold accountable, and say, wait, the priorities are this. If we move off this priority, what other priority is going to suffer? Because we all have
mm.
limited time, resources, and money.
Right.
And a lot of times, uh, executives and business leaders don't have that peer support or that place of safety where they can say, this challenge is really has me cornered. I'm not sure what approach is the right approach, or I've exhausted everything. I'm not sure what to do next, kind of things.
Mm,
And we've all had those conversations, whether
mhm,
it's internally or
mhm.
externally. It's
Yeah.
unfair. It's unfair for a leader to be put in a position where they cannot talk about it externally or have access to those folks they can talk to externally.
I think that, I mean, that is something that is slowly but surely creeping into the corporate realm. Like, I think that there for so long, you had that whole moniker, or not moniker, but belief system that, if you showed weakness, you were going to get eliminated, you were going to get left behind. Where in a lot of times, it takes a lot of strength to ask for help. And I also
Mhm,
think that we don't put enough especially at the enterprise level. Um, you don't see enough of that emphasis on getting mentorship, guidance, training, certificate. I mean, all of this stuff. Like, you get promoted in these corporate arenas, but there's no training that comes along with it. They train you on like what is the job, maybe, right?
mhm,
Here are the reports you have to do, and these are the people you're going to oversee. Dot dot dot. And you kind of, some people fail up, right? They're not, and the great doers are not necessarily ready to be great leaders, and there's no transition and that kind of stuff. But in the small business level, I feel like we're just such lone wolves, right? And so we don't know who to ask, we don't know when to ask, we don't even know what to ask because we don't know what we don't know.
mhm,
And I think that when we're talking about what you're discussing here as the consultancy, and really keeping your business owner at the strategic level, because I think that a lot of times when you're working with those small businesses, they are wearing all of the C-level hats, right? And they are the CEO, the COO, the CMO, the CFO, the CHRO,
mhm,
all of the CXO, as we call it. um, and so it's really hard for them to not get into firefighter mode, right? But even with a team of, under 10, you can get a section of your time like tailored for strategy and really segment that time. But what's the process in helping small businesses do that when they have such little resources, seemingly
Mhm.
limited resources.
Yeah, and there is a process, and I'm glad you said process because, I love processes, I love systems because with them, it creates predictability.
Mm,
Without them, there is unpredictability.
mm-hmm,
So the process for that would be to look at all of the reasons the business is losing money. Let's
mm,
stop the bleeding. Let's stop the leaking first and foremost. Now,
right.
when we do that, now we have additional unaccounted cash flow that we can reinvest back into the business. And
Mm-hmm,
we can identify what are those most mundane tasks that you're doing as a business owner that we can bring someone in fractionally to do them for you
mm,
and start
mm,
looking at things like that fractional accounting. The fractional industry is tremendous right now,
mm-hmm,
and it is an absolute investment for all business owners, again, all the way to the
mm-hmm,
enterprise. There is no lid on fractional talent.
mm,
For business owners in that small to
mm-hmm,
mid space.
right.
I challenge your audience listening to this if they find themselves overwhelmed. I'm doing too much. I have too much on my plate. I challenge you to take that assessment and bring in just one virtual assistant or fractional assistant
Mm,
and reach back out to you, Michael, because I would love to hear the results on this. Is when they take something off your plate, whatever it is, the feeling you get is not, now I have one thing off my plate. It is a feeling and a weight that is lifted that creates exponential availability for you to now better control your time.
mm,
Whether it's strategic or it's fighting other fires, you're slowly regaining control of your time. And that's the key. Whether we're talking operational, tactical, or strategic,
mm-hmm,
business owner, you need to be in control of your time. If you're
mm,
not, if you are a business owner and you're doing everything, you are an employee.
mm-hmm.
If you're a
You own a
business
job.
owner,
Mm-hmm,
you own a job. If you're a business owner and you have control of your time and you have key people in key areas, now you're a business owner. And now you can start to fortify that and then start to stabilize and grow and scale.
mm-hmm,
And then you start that upward trend of whatever
mm-hmm,
that is. I talk to business owners, they are at exactly where they wanna be, they don't wanna grow, that's great. Let's
right.
optimize everything you've got. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. That is okay. A lot of people go, "What? You don't wanna grow? That's crazy." No, it's not,
No.
because a lot of people are very self-aware, they know what additional growth would mean for them, and they've
Mm-hmm,
met their objective. Now let's see how many different ways we can take that lump of coal and carve
mm-hmm,
out different facets of that diamond in that space, because
mm.
there's
I
a
love that.
multitude there's a
Mm-hmm.
multitude of solutions. In fact, most people don't know there are over 110 different solutions and strategies that can be applied to most businesses that are profit optimization focused.
Wow, that's so many, and it's true. I've run my business now for 19 years, and have good years and bad years, profitable years, not so profitable years. Definitely, always appreciated the years that I could spend working on my business versus in
Mhm.
my business. And there were times where I wondered, am I trying to grow an enterprise, or am I trying to uh, build, or am I going to be happy with a lifestyle business? And
Mhm.
I was just in a conversation with a group of marketers the other day, and two out of the four that were in the room both had come to realization that they didn't have the passion to grow their business beyond them and maybe one or two more people. And they're virtual companies, and it's a lifestyle, and having a lifestyle business is very admirable. It's just you owning your job. I mean, and I think
Mhm.
that a lot of people, some of us entrepreneurs, that's a difference between a business owner and entrepreneur, right? And and if you're a business owner and you're just making a living owning a business because that's your job, right? I own a business.
Mhm.
I run a business. I'm there. Okay, great. You're not a CEO, really. You're a business owner, right? In the entrepreneur, where we're thinking big, we're testing the boundaries of what we can do with our business, or maybe multiple businesses, or influence, impact, all these other things that go along with it. And I think understanding the difference between the two, and then making a decision of which one you really want to be, because I think so many people start as with a lifestyle business or maybe even a side hustle, right? And then they make the switch, and then they have to undo all of the things you do when you're running a lifestyle business versus a small enterprise, right? And
Mhm.
I'm wondering how many of those 110 metrics are tied to the fact that there are two different types of small businesses out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't mean that now will every business apply them? Absolutely not. Let's
Right?
let's see what makes the most sense. However, there's tremendous options out there. And when you talked about that lifestyle business, what instantly came to my mind was, okay, how many different ways can we overserve your existing client base or your target base, the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're partnered with? How many different ways can we overserve them so you don't become complacent in what you're
Mm-hmm.
providing as well? And
Mm-hmm.
with that mindset, in that approach and that vision and that mission, now you're not only helping your customer, your client in multiple different areas and aspects, you're also helping your business. So it's not very linear. It's very geometric about,
Mm-hmm.
when you say the size, I want to limit the size of my business to 5 clients. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not limit the revenue size and the profit size of your
Mm-hmm.
business.
I
Let's
love
see how far we can go and how much fun we can have and how better we can serve our
that.
customer base, our clients and our customer base
Mm-hmm.
to help boost them and then also boost your own business a um, as a result of
Mm.
that extraordinary focus on your
Right.
customers.
I think that profitability is always tied to money. And I think that people, and as entrepreneurs, we're trying to, make the dollar because that's what the business is there to do, right?
Hmm.
And or for-profit businesses are supposed to be doing. But then they negate the fact that time is an irreplaceable resource. And if time is money, all the time that we can buy back can actually be attributed to a profit. And that not everybody looks
Hmm.
at profit the same, right? And so in the lifestyle business, we see people wanting to buy back their time. Like some of these people I was talking to, they're like, I just want more time with my kids. I'm finding
Hmm.
myself spending all of my energy trying to grow this business and create a legacy for my children versus spending time with my children right now and creating a
Hmm.
legacy of family, right? And so they come to that realization. And then others, they're buying back time because maybe they want to travel more or whatever their hobby is. But then on the entrepreneur side, I find that for me, when I'm buying back time, I'm buying back bandwidth so that I can do the most profitable things in my business. I feel, I mean, would you agree that so many small business CEOs spend too much time doing non CEO tasks?
I would. I would, because usually small business CEOs are wearing a number of hats.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I talk to some people that they say, I only want to work in a startup. And I talk to other people that say, I never want to work in a startup again. So it depends on that cloth that you're cut from, where you find your joy, where you find your energy. And it's interesting you said everything is around the cash flow of the business. And what's I find intriguing is how people will focus on revenues of a business, and yet they'll put a
Mm-hmm.
dimmer focus or less focus on the profits of the business. And to me, and I'm not going to give the person the credit that deserves it, but the phrase "revenue is vanity and profit is sanity"
Love
resonates
that
with
saying.
me. I
Mm-hmm.
live by that credo that, revenue is a vanity number. Because, and I'll give you an example of that. I recently worked with a client. They were a $76 million manufacturing company.
Mm-hmm.
They booked $382,000 in net profit last year. 76 million,
Ouch.
382,000. The CEO and the CFO were getting data. They were getting reports. It was the wrong data. It was inaccurate data, and it was the wrong reports.
Ugh.
We were able to identify and remediate their top 5 loss leaders and
Mm.
recover $4.9 million in annual revenue with
Whoa.
just the top 5. We're still
Dang.
working with them,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the impact. And they said we were focused on the revenue numbers. We're like,
Yeah.
we can't wait till we hit 80. Well, and then it was that gap between the profit and the revenue that was not, there was not attention put on that gap. And, again, mind the gap. You want to
Mm-hmm.
mind the gap between profit and revenue. You want to be very, very clear and
Mm-hmm.
informed. What is the gap in the revenue? Why, or the gap between profit and revenue? Because what happens is when you mind the gap and you've eliminated the losses, now you focus on revenue growth. And what's going to happen? As the revenue
Mm-hmm.
grows, the profit's going to grow with it right in parallel. And you're not just going to grow the revenue that you've always grown. We're going to help you identify additional revenue streams. Because the
Mm-hmm.
clients I work with typically will have 1, 2, 3 revenue streams. I want to get you up to 4, 5, and 6. Where does it make sense? Where does it make sense? Who are we underserving? Who are we not serving? Are we too tunnel vision? Sometimes we might be too broad. We need to bring it in and create tunnel vision. It depends on the organization and where the challenges lie. But yeah, it's interesting, the numbers that people focus on.
So most of our listeners are small business owners, and so when they're looking at stuff like this, they're going, I don't know if I could even afford somebody to come in and look at my profits because I don't have any profits, right? Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the cash flow to hire
Mm-hmm.
somebody. So are there some things that if somebody's, so I had a company, I had multi 7-figure creative agency a few years back that I shut down at the end of 2018 because I was kind of in your client's shoes. I was making millions of dollars in revenue and not even paying myself 6 figures in a salary,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let alone
Mm-hmm.
profits. And so I decided that I just needed to, do it differently. And I did. And 5 years later, I am now here and 7 times more profitable in the whole 9 yards. And a lot of what you said resonates with me, but I'm probably one of the outliers. I think that a lot of people in my situation back then would have just hung it up. I mean, at one point I said, maybe I should just go find a medium-sized business, become a CMO, make a couple $100,000 a year and work a 9 to 5. Now, my wife said, and about a week after we put the CV together, because I hadn't had to do that for 20 years, you can't work a 9 to 5. I was like, oh, you
You're
gotta be kidding me.
unemployable.
Yeah. And I'm unemployable. But
Yeah.
yeah. So with that said, for the small business owner who's struggling with cash flow, which is a great or a huge indicator that you're not profitable, right? You don't have enough
Mm-hmm.
cash to pay your bill, probably not very profitable, right? What
Mm-hmm.
is what could be like one of the first or maybe first two steps in helping them get into a position where they could bring somebody like you and your firm in to help them realize that 7x profits they're not getting today?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing for a small business I would recommend is having someone do an analysis of all of their contracts.
Mm,
Contract and vendor management. We continually find tremendous opportunity in that space. A lot of times, especially in the small business arena, it's thought,
mm-hmm,
well, that's the cost of doing business. I have to pay these. I have to pay these. Um, you know, we work with so many business owners that have never read the contracts that they've signed, and we help renegotiate contracts, take out language and liability they didn't even know about, things like that. And in that instance, that's a service we do actually happen to provide, and it's contingency based. It's only based on
mm-hmm.
what we gain for you, a percentage of what we gain, and
Oh,
nothing else.
very nice.
So we work for it.
Nice.
So then that again, that cash flow is going back into the business to then invest in other things around the business. And there's a number of services we have that are contingency based. Uh, I would take a look at all of the AP, the accounts payable, going out of the business. A lot of times business owners will sign up for things, more things than they truly need. Take a look at that. Export it out of QuickBooks into Excel one Saturday morning over coffee and just go right down there and go, is this critical to the business? Is it critical? Is it critical? Is it critical? Oftentimes, I'm guilty of it too. I suffer from shiny, shiny syndrome. I have a technology background, so I love tools and toys. We'll buy those things thinking we need them, and in reality, we really don't. And then they're on auto renew contracts. Another thing is, if you are on auto renew contracts, eliminate the auto renew, because there's usually terms in that auto renewal that will be enacted at that auto renewal point. You always want to have that manual time to go back and reevaluate it, and just set a time, set a reminder 30 days before each of your contracts expire. So you can take the time. It doesn't take that long, just to make sure that, upon renewal, things are not changing, or if they are, you're very aware, and you accept the terms that auto renewal. Those are a few I would definitely go after if I was a small business. That you can make some real quick turnaround on that. Usually a lot of times within one billing cycle, that can be renegotiated, implemented, and you see it in your next billing cycle. Sometimes it takes two, depending on how willing the vendor is to negotiate.